Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Syahman Akib Bacaan Bukhari, and this is our presentation for organizational development. First, the background. Airbnb, which was founded in 2008, is an online marketplace where anyone may sell or rent short-term rental units. Anyone wishing to make money may list in their space on Airbnb, whether it's a whole home, a spare bedroom, or a simpler sofa. Airbnb is based on San Francisco, California. Their platform is available via a website and a mobile app. Airbnb does not own any of the houses advertised. Instead, it makes money from a commission on each booking. Brian Chesky, Nathan Blaszczyk, and Joe Gebbia launched the company in 2008. Airbnb is abbreviated version of AirbnbBreakfast.com, which was the company's original name. One of the best facts of Airbnb is there is recent college graduates were creatively attempting to find method to make money in order to pay their rent in 2008, while former President Barack Obama was campaigning against John McCain. What began as a small solution to prevent eviction 10 years ago has since developed into a multi-billion-dollar enterprise that has altered the global travel and tourism industry. Brian Chesky and his roommates rent out an inflatable mattress on the living room floor to pay their looming rent. The quick income generated has evolved into Airbnb, which we've come to know and love. The usage of all the word air in the name is a note of the company's beginning.
Hi, my name is Ifaliana binti Muhammad Azizi. Now I will discuss about the issue of Airbnb organization. The coronavirus pandemic has impacted negatively on several enterprises in the travel industry, including the Airbnb. Airbnb received 50.2 million website hits in January 2020. According to data from SimilarWeb, Airbnb competitors, which is VRBO, received 14.7 million site visitors in the same month. The global pandemic, on the other hand, is proving to be Airbnb's greatest challenge. After Airbnb declared that it will repay clients whose reservation fell within a specific time frame, the firm is dealing with cancellation and also reimbursement. The coronavirus has given impact on Airbnb financial. The coronavirus has had a significant impact on the travel industry, posing a significant challenge for Airbnb. Airbnb made 1.11 billion in revenue in the fourth quarter of 2019. However, by the second quarter of 2020, when the pandemic was at its peak, Airbnb income had dropped to 334.78 million at a 72% decrease year over year. Airbnb loss increased to 575.9 million in the second quarter compared to 297.4 million the year before due to an increase in cancellation and a slower number of bookings. This revenue loss have led 41% of hosts to supplement their income with another job or revenue stream for the time being. Hosts have also gotten creative with their properties, with 47% offering month-long stay option and 29% listing their properties at reduced price to first responder and frontliner personnel, including as medical professional. For the supply impact, according to AirDNA investigation, Airbnb lost 5% of its total listing from January to June 2020, despite the fact that its supply has more than doubled in the last 4 years, rising to 5.4 million active listings from 2.3 million at the start of 2017. Total listings, on the other hand, have recovered and are now 2.5% higher than pre-pandemic levels. On February 2021, a variety of mountain and coastal regions had the most new available listings that are determined by the number of active listings, those that can be viewed on Airbnb and have at least one prior book night, that have calendar availability, or at least one book day in the month. Larger property managers who tend to manage a high percentage of units in destination or resort area have benefited the most from increased supply. Over the past year, large operators, those with 21 or more units, increased both their available unit counts by more than 40%, while available listing for hosts with just one unit, which are typically located in large urban markets, decreased by 9%. Available listing fell in both major and mid-sized United States cities, with urban areas being the only location type to see a drop in active listing. Currently, urban area account for only 20% of Airbnb supply in the United States, down from 40% in 2016. Now, I will pass to the next presenter, which is Natasha Adila.
Thank you, Ifradiana. I am Natasha Adila binti Azahari, and now I would like to present how do Airbnb overcome the issue. Beginning in May 2020, customers has begun to return to Airbnb for local travel and remote work after giving the business break. From July to September, the number of stays and experience which are Airbnb lingo for tour and classes remain stable, but down by 28% year over year. Airbnb made a number of cost-cutting steps in response to the slowdown. Airbnb lowered its marketing budget, eliminated bonus for 2020, reduced executive wages for 6 months, and halted all new office building, in addition to laying off by 25% of its workers. Next is refund inquiries were handled by Airbnb. Airbnb issued an extreme circumstance policy on March 14, which replaced Airbnb host cancellation policies. When a guest booked a trip on or before March 14, 2020, with check-in dates between March 14 and April 14, 2020, the guest was free to cancel the trip. Airbnb also give their guests having reservation up until May 31 and then again until June 15 are now entitled for either an Airbnb credit or the more selective options such as full cash refund. However, many guests found out it is more difficult and others will never receive their refunds. That's all for my part, and now I would like to pass to the next presenter.
Based on the article that has been synthesized for the data, we believe and agree that the maneuver that was taken by Airbnb is a success story, as Airbnb has risen from the ashes. Only a few months just after COVID-19 disease outbreak precipitated its booking to plunge by more than 70% and its asset value to be halved. The firm has yanked off a remarkable restoration and now on track for the IPO with 30 billion asset value. The approach used by CEO Brian Chesky and other top executives in during supply and financial meltdown to concentrate on the main business, recognize people emotion, and fulfill employee expectation allow the firm to be turned around very speedily. They quickly reoriented on Airbnb main business as home rentals, while also streaming of home rentals as auxiliary service such as experience and conventional guest house and luxury hotel directories. They also reduced what had previously been competitive gamble on industry such as mass transit and mainstream press. Some were Chesky vanity project and they appeared to have a better chance of realizing the firm's lofty goals. However, the top management realized that focusing solely on the main business was critical to the firm's survival. Airbnb evaluate its client emotional response and did everything possibly to resolve them. Considerable uncertainty of new restriction and promising disease outbreak spikes. Chesky and his top executive anticipated that clients will be cautious about making new booking. As a result, they agreed to enforce a duvet money-back guarantee that allowed for a last-minute postponement and refund. Originally, the transformation was not made clear, which prompted consternation amongst certain clients and hosts. However, the firm ended up working hard to resolve issue and convince the public that they have support to the client, and as a result, it alleviated client concern to persuade those who are reluctant to make reservation. For our recommendation, Airbnb could possibly try to spread more ads and awareness about their new policies regarding aftermath COVID-19 situation. This is due to the reason that many of their clients having a hard time to persuade because some of them were very dissatisfied by the old policy of how Airbnb managed their account. By spreading more awareness and ads about their current new policy, it will help Airbnb to reinstall back their routes of recovery, while at the same time restore trust among their current and future potential clients. They may not be able to recover back from all the losses that they went through, but by putting up a new policy and a new campaign, bit by bit, it will help Airbnb to strive from the pandemic outburst. With the help of new technologies, hardworking non-invasive top executive, and apps development of its company, they may able to resource their campaign of new policy and promote more clients to believe in them, and thus gaining all those revenue that went away.
And Airbnb said its current quarter bookings could be hit by Delta variant of COVID-19 and a slowing pace of vaccinations in the US. The news sent its shares down more than 4%. The company expects nights and experiences booked in the current quarter to slow from the second quarter and remain below 2019 levels. The hugely popular global app, which has fought back strongly since being hit hard early in pandemic last year, posted a more than four-fold increase in bookings to $13.4 billion in second quarter. It expects third quarter to be its strongest on record as more people check on its vacation rentals after easing of lockdowns.
For the conclusion, we come to understanding of Airbnb issues. In accordance to that, the tourism-dependent regions are expected to bear the brunt of the crisis consequences for much longer than other economies. Direct communication and services critical to the tourism and travel industries have been disproportionately impacted by the global epidemic and will continue to fail until people feel safe enough to commute in large numbers again. Tourism-dependent regions are expected to bear the brunt of the crisis consequences for much longer than other economies.
So when the pandemic hit, Airbnb was bleeding through its cash reserves and it needed a swift infusion of cash. But the loan that they got came at a very steep interest rate, and it was an interest rate of 11%, which is often associated with distressed assets.
At this point, Airbnb's valuation had fallen from $31 billion in 2017 to $18 billion in April 2020. Despite this, Airbnb was still under pressure to go public by year's end.
So Airbnb's CEO had toyed with the idea of going public for years, but he'd stopped short of pulling the trigger. Now, that was leading to some anxiety setting in among early investors and a handful of employees who were set to lose their stock options next year.
Following the layoff of a quarter of its workforce in the spring, Airbnb shelved some entrepreneurial ideas such as excursion in mass transit and recreation, and sought shelter to concentrate on its core power accommodation even as its pricing fell from a high of $31 billion to most lately $18 billion, according to Wall Street Journal. Now that the pandemic has become the utmost mass tourism disruptor, an Airbnb delegate appears to believe journey has been dispersed in a long-term way to places other than bucket list capitals. It's almost like it resurrected our vision, he said. What I'd like to say is help spread out commute to as many societies as possible, rather than focusing attention in a single location.